and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is the Preble Town Board meeting of April 8th, 2024. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the March minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Jen?
Committee reports, dog control, one stray picked up and returned home. There was one noise complaint with no violation observed.
Thanks, Jen. Justice report is Bob Hughes here yet? I guess he's not. He's coming, right? He's probably hung up at the Four Corners. Highway report, Jeff?
Got the written copy, it's over a few things. FEMA has obligated the money for the East Hill project. Waiting with bated breath from Gina to see when we get the check. That's $680,000. Our state rep also says the state will be kicking in another $68,000, that's 10%. So in theory, it's not going to cost town Preble anything monetarily to get this project done. So as soon as that's done, is there anything we need to, once this money hits, as far as putting that out to bid? Bartlett Judas has got the package together. I'll get it to you. You'll probably put a cover sheet or something with it, or
We can.
okay.
Yep.
But that's gonna be moving, and we're gonna try to push that along just to try to get it done this construction season. So, just an update from the state, Albany, the one house budget that the Senate and Assembly got together restored last year's level plus 100 million more for our chip. So hopefully we'll see a little bump in that this year. I met with Miranda Roth. She's our CHIPS representative. There's one representative for each region. And she came down Tuesday of last week, and we went over all the paperwork that is required for CHIPS now, which has gotten to be extensive. And she's been doing it to all the municipalities offering it. And the biggest thing is, because it's a bonded program, she just wants to make sure all our paperwork jives, that something doesn't get turned in that hasn't been 10 years since it was used last, a road. Hello. And so she, went over that. We're looking real good as far as the paperwork goes. I just wanted to make sure she offered it. We're still in the holding pattern on the new truck. Plow hitches have been on for just about a month, and then waiting for a slot to get the actual dump box put on. And with that, there's a lot going on in that industry right now. We talked about it, a few of us. I was wondering what the thoughts were as far as ordering another chassis at this time, because we're 3 years out. And why I say that is because 2026, which is around the corner, is when the new emissions take place. And we all know we don't want a new truck with the new emissions on it, and the price that goes along with that. And I'm hoping that we can get a slot, and with that, I'd like to ask that we put out for a permissive referendum of up to $185,000 for gas, and see if we can. And we hadn't purchased until this last one that we've been waiting on. We hadn't actually purchased a truck since '08, so it's like it's not like it's cramming them all together. It's just that it's been a while since we have. I'm open to discussion on that, but I was just thinking, and the next emission is going to be the thing that's crammed down our throat, and after 2026, 2030, or 32, it's supposed to be the electric end of it. Trying to push municipalities into the electric. My thought is if we can bolster our fleet with current trucks, we can hide going down the road, having to deal with those types of things.
And we do have long lead times on these
That's insane.
machines now.
It's doubled in 4 years.
Mhm.
And there's no end in sight right now, so that's the other frustration. So I didn't know what your thoughts were on that, because normally in April and May is when they release the new build-out dates for the year. So if you can get a slot, if you will, then you know when you get it. If you miss a slot, it might be another year before you get a slot. Type of thing. So I entertain you thinking about that. Honestly, preferably this meeting, but that's up to you guys.
Mhm.
On a personal note, Heather and I, we're gonna be out of town April 18th through May 1st. So I've got everything organized for the town cleanup. You know, everything, I don't expect any problems. All my neighbors will be able to jump in if something happens, but we're gonna be gone.
Mhm.
And the pest inspector was back in about 3 weeks ago, looked over all the updates from the last pest inspection. And in theory, she gave me an all clear. I'm still waiting to see the actual sign off paperwork, but that'll probably be another month out. So just to tell you that what's coming forward, salt order, that's due at the end of this month. And what else? Oh, and just on a side note, there's a chicken barbecue for the fire department that's coming Saturday. 13th. Any questions?
The 185,000, Jeff, what account is that coming out of?
They come out of the capital reserve. There's two
Under highway fund?
highway equipment, 250 something in there now.
Highway equipment, okay.
Right.
It's 276 in there now, it looks like.
Yeah, 270.
Yeah. Well, as long as we have the money available, and I think the board trusts that your judgment in long-term planning, and we're looking out to 26 and maybe, receiving the truck in 27 or something?
The biggest thing is to get the chassis before the new emissions go into effect.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally, you don't want the first year or two of the new emissions.
Mm-hmm.
They are lemons. And that goes back into the mid-2000s.
Mm-hmm.
They're problematic. And you could count on a 10 to 12% price jump just when they put those new emissions on too. It's traditional, not including any expected price increase that you'd have, you know, without the new emissions.
Anybody have any questions for Jeff about this item?
Still no tires, correct, for the town cleanup?
No tires.
Make that clear.
They'll take them at the recycling center for X dollars a tire. What X is, but we can find out.
Okay, so we need to make a motion. If we're all in agreement to this, of Jeff going ahead with this project?
Jeff, can we get some kind of year and make and model or something for the chassis? I think we gotta,
Well, I don't want to seem vague, but it's going to be vague because you don't know what we can say or newer type of a thing. there,
okay,
Because with these build slots now, you don't know when it's getting built.
okay. So it'd be
They build in
25 or,
blocks now.
so it'd be 25 or newer?
Probably, would be my guess. Late 24 to 25.
So 24 or newer. And how would we describe the chassis?
Heavy duty, 10 wheel, diesel powered, with automatic. Very similar to current chassis.
And it would be off state bid, right?
And that's the other guy. We peruse what bids are, give the best discounts at the time. Lately on a Daga County bid, they have their own bidding department. It's been a better discount. And why I say that state bid is the base bid truck, and then everything is at premium. Where Onondaga builds the truck as the bid. So you're not paying list price for any option or anything. So that the truck is actually cheaper building it that way because they're built right from the ground up, as opposed to a base model and then adding options. So to be honest with you, probably an Oneida County state bid, which we purchased under piggybacking, state piggybacking program.
And when ballpark, when you would be ordering this if approved? I mean, we gotta
When
wait
the block becomes available. So like if you wanna, we get setback front axle, 10-wheeler, vocational chassis. When that block is full, you can't order anymore, that chassis to build out. So you wanna be able to order it when that block opens, which I'm hoping would be in May. And then you can expect close to a year before you see it under normal circumstances. And if we miss that, we lose this year. That's where it gets real crazy.
estimated delivery then on that, couple of years then, you're
Well,
saying?
the chassis would be in about a year, 12 months out. The truck itself would be another year after that with plow equipment and dump box. The world we live in now.
So I, we need on a approval subject to permissive referendum. What that means, of course, is that we publish a legal notice in the paper that in effect puts the residents of the town of Preble on notice that you have approved withdrawal of 185,000 up to 185 for the purchase of this vehicle. And so if enough signatures are gained on a petition, you could be required to put it to a vote. Very unusual. I've seen it happen once in 30 years, but you have to give some kind of description of what the 185 is for.
Mm-hmm.
So, and our minutes should reflect that too. So that's why I was asking. I don't mean to give you a hard time, Jeff.
No, I expect it. I'd be disappointed if you did.
So you would publish that, Don?
Yeah, we would
Your
publish a
office
legal.
would?
It just gets published once, and then once the date's published, there's a 30-day time period thereafter that someone could file a petition with the necessary number of signatures. So it isn't really approved. The expenditure isn't really approved until that 30-day time period expires. So you're approving it subject to permissive referendum requirements.
Okay, anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the permissive referendum for the new chassis, heavy duty 10-wheel diesel powered chassis.
Right, and specifically, we'd be approving withdrawal of up to 185,000 from the highway equipment fund, capital
Right.
fund,
Mm-hmm.
reserve fund.
Reserve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried? Okay. So Don, your office will be putting it in the newspaper,
We'll publish.
right, you'll publish it.
Yeah.
And then, we'll have to wait 30 days to
Well,
publish.
it's, it's just kind of runs its own course,
Mhm.
You don't hear any, you just know when the 30 days are up. So technically you wouldn't want to be ordering until that
That's fine.
30
It's not-
days
the
is
block
up,
hasn't been opened.
but
Mhm.
I'm sure you could cancel it probably.
It was sticky.
Yeah, okay. In any event, yeah, the
Okay.
safe way is to wait the 30 days after it's published. We'll
Thank
be
you.
lucky to get it published probably by Friday or Saturday,
Okay.
right? Because there seems to be, it takes longer than it ever did. I don't know,
Yeah.
3 days anyway.
Several days out.
So,
Okay.
okay.
Anybody have any other questions for Jeff with everything he went over? Okay, so we'll move along here. Recreation. Dave, anything about recreation?
No, we've been pretty quiet this winter, but it's time to think about going down and checking things out. And seeing if there's any repairs on the tables or anything needs to be done. Probably start doing that sometime this week or the next day or two. Start checking things out.
There's one thing I did notice. I was walking through the park on Sunday, and I saw that one of the pine trees was cut. It was cut right at the bottom, like somebody cut it for a Christmas tree or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that's the pine trees that are, I guess on the north side of that line of pine trees, on the north side of the pine trees, of that line, one of the last pine trees there, closer to Preble Road. One of those pine trees was cut, and you can see it was cut right at the base. So you'll be mowing in another month or so, right?
Well, something less than that, while it's
Less than that.
mowing, looks
Yeah,
grass is popping right along.
yeah.
Very nice.
Now, do you get the water checked or is that somebody else that's gonna do that?
No, I gotta go down, I'll probably go down Wednesday to the lab in Polkville.
Okay,
Get the test for it.
yep,
And, no, on a test kit for it. And after I'm sure it's not gonna freeze, I can turn the water on the kitchen and draw a sample and take it down to get it tested. That'll probably be along in the near future.
Mhm.
No, I hadn't been down there. I didn't see that. Somebody got themselves a Christmas tree.
Yeah. That's what it looks like.
Well, probably right.
it was a good
You scared
Christmas
them
for somebody,
away.
or maybe it wasn't.
Okay, thanks,
That's about it
Dave.
for me.
Thanks for your help. Jen?
Zoning and code enforcement March report, 0 building permits issued, 86 miles traveled, 9 building inspections, 32 hours worked, 1 fire inspection, 2 complaint follow-ups, 25 telephone inquiries. The next planning board meeting, I believe there's a special meeting, is that correct, on April 10th
Yes, it's this Wednesday.
at 7 o'clock?
You got it.
And then the regular meeting is April 24th at 7 o'clock. And then the next ZBA meeting is May 2nd at 7 o'clock.
Okay, historian, we have nobody here. Historian? Jen?
Town clerk fees collected in March, $71. Dispersed $61 to the town of Preble and $10 to New York State Ag and Markets.
Okay, thanks, Jen. Unfinished business, short-term rentals. Peter's not here. Giving a report. Amy, is there anything that you want to say from the planning?
No.
Okay, okay.
Uh, I'd like, Don to clarify the, moratorium, statement, or on, the clarification of the, short-term rentals, to be enacted going forward, not the ones that are operating now, but the ones to go forward. There was a question on, the ones that they're not issued, they're not completed construction, but they've been advertising. And so there's statements that have been made that from a legal or portion that they can come online.
This is a building that's, there's a certificate of occupancy for.
Not occupancy, the certificate of completion. Yeah, but it's completion, it's not occupancy, I don't
It's a
believe.
good question.
But
Ultimately, it'd be up to a judge to decide. We take a position on it. and
yeah,
Ultimately,
the way they're interpreting the moratorium, the way it's written is that they can come online if they've been advertising.
well, I think we have to look at the status of the use of the property at the time, the effective date of our moratorium.
Yeah, it
And
was
then
under
you're gonna,
construction.
that's why they make courts,
Mhm.
it sounds like. In other words, it can be our position that our moratorium prohibits because it's not in use. Okay, but I don't know all the facts, and those cases are driven by what the particular facts are. So we can, we can research it, and we can, if I need to talk to the code officer and determine what the facts are as he knows them, and then we go from there.
Okay.
Okay. Any board members have any questions? No, let's discuss, okay. Moving on, new business, sidewalk at Dwyer Park. Don, can you give us a little summary on this?
Yeah, and Jeff probably can speak to this better than I, but of course, this is a town road, a short road that runs into Dwyer Park, and the county would like to install a 4-foot wide sidewalk, which is a paved sidewalk, not a cement sidewalk with a curb, as I understand it. So we have an agreement with the county that they'll install it at their expense. The agreement says they would do so. They'd be responsible for their workers. They hold us harmless from any claims resulting from their work on it. I had asked for it, and Jeff had pointed out it didn't specifically say that we'd like the county, because there'll be an edge line as described in this agreement, which I see as a white line that basically creates a boundary between the roadway and the sidewalk. And obviously, if it's a painted strip, it's going to need to be repainted. And as pointed out by Jeff, really, we'd like the county, they've got the equipment or the contract that they hire people once a year to do that. So that is not explicitly in this printed form, but we can add it, and you can initial that, that the county would be responsible for maintaining that edge line going forward. So this is, an agreement to allow them to do those improvements at their cost.
Oh, that's the road from 281 to the park, or is it the other road?
No, it's just
One
the,
road that's going.
Just down the horseshoe right off the edge. That little 489 feet of driveway in between the county road and down to where the speed bump used to be, Dave.
Okay.
and Jeff had mentioned too, and I'll just mention that he mentioned there's been some discussion about maybe the county taking that strip over. There'd be work to be done on that, but there's been some discussion. And in some ways, it sounds like it might make sense.
I've talked to Kevin about this, and Kevin asked me how I felt about the project, and I said, if the county wants to make improvements in our town, I'm all for it, as long as it doesn't infringe on anybody. So I think Jeff would agree with that.
And it's, 4 or 6 times a year, you have big events down there, and it's nice to have, that's a choke point for getting in and out of that park. And there's a lot of foot traffic. It does make sense. But as far as, town and sidewalks, we don't own any, we don't maintain any. And I don't care to get into that business right now. So I said that if he wanted to do something originally, they were looking at a concrete sidewalk, and it was where the lights are down through there, it'd be going around light poles and everything. So he says, why don't you just widen the road out and delineate, even the road just being wider, plus delineation will give you some more room, more safety area.
Okay.
So we need a motion approving, granting Jim authority to enter into this agreement.
We're with the consideration that we're going to add a clause that says that the county will maintain that strip.
Yep.
I'll make that motion. I think she's got it wrote down. Looks like.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any carried? Okay, so I'll sign this when we're done. Give it to Don. Don, you would revise this?
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna write it in, have you initial it, Jim, and if they
Okay.
want a clean copy, they can type it
Okay.
up and we can get it to you.
Okay, that's good. Okay, next on new business, is we need to revisit the ethics committee. We, established an ethics committee back in 2011. And we had 3 people involved with that ethics committee. And, we haven't had any use for the ethics committee all that time. So the term was 5 years for each individual. We had the supervisor, which was myself at the time. We had Paul Depew and Carl Grillo on that ethics committee. So like I said, we haven't used the ethics committee, so there was a 5-year term on those positions for the ethics committee, and they all expired, and we never did anything with it because we didn't have a need. So at this time, we've been requested to renew the ethics committee viability. So Paul Depew is deceased. Carl Grillo, I'd have to give him a call and see if he's still interested in staying on, and then we'd have to find one more person outside of the town government to be on that ethics committee. So I'm kind of opening this up for this month, and we can continue it for next month if we can find somebody who I can call and ask them if they wish to be on it. So maybe we can work on brainstorming some names after the meeting and ask some people if they wish to be on this committee. And we'll come back with those 2 other individuals for next month and finish up the ethics committee. Anybody have any questions? And the ethics committee is just it's a committee that if there's any issues with the town board that a resident thinks needs to be addressed, the ethics committee can get together, look at the issue, and state their opinion on the situation. So we'll continue on that for next month. Monies received, we received $779 from USPS and $1,771.89 from Northeast Transformers. I don't think we're going to go into executive session tonight because there's nothing that we really have to discuss. So why don't we pay the bills first, then we'll go into public comment. Need a motion to pay the general fund vouchers.
Make a motion to pay general fund vouchers abstracts number 4, numbers 56 to 74, totaling $6,919.11.
Second.
All in favor?
All right,
Carried. We need a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers.
I'll make a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers, abstract number 4, numbers 31 to 40, totaling $6,824.54.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay, at this time, we have no other further business to discuss, so we will open up the meeting for public comment, questions, anything anybody wants to talk about, we can discuss it. Yes,
Hello, Annette Dickinson. I have a question relating to the moratorium, and Jim addressed. I know there's a list out there. I kind of have the list. And I need verification on one of them because the house was never occupied as of 1/22/24. I did find it advertised in March, beginning of March. So where does this house fall in the moratorium? Because it's up, now it's on there as of early March. It's being rented May 10th. It can be rented May 10th, 24. So I need directions, is it legitimate? Does it fall in that moratorium? And I just need
Do you have the
the address,
address? I thought I had.
Yep,
the list.
7396 Song Lake Road. The old Thompson's house.
What is it?
it's, I believe it's 7396 Song Lake. Cause I think the property, it's really on Palmer, but how the house goes.
At the Thompson place?
Yes, it's
Yeah,
Thompson's
that's,
place.
it's classified on Song Lake
Like, okay, yes, that's
Road
the address.
because
I
it
got.
comes out, right?
So I don't know where that stands.
Yeah, that's the one in question that I brought up.
Yes, you did. Yes,
yeah,
Jim brought it. I
that,
just need when's an answer going to be?
So this is a matter that will probably end up in court. So to ask for a black and white answer, you're not, I mean, ultimately, it would be determined by a court of law. We can take a position. I don't know what the facts are. I've not heard from our code enforcement officer. If this is something we're going to pursue, then we need to collect facts and develop a position and advise the other side accordingly. We can send them a letter. Our code enforcement officer
Yeah.
can send them a letter advising them if we think they're in violation or not entitled to proceed.
that's what he's
That's what we
asked.
need to do.
And that's what I'm asking here. I'm sitting there next to the property. I'm asking. I've been asking for since the moratorium has been done. But I'm not getting anything. If it's, is it just gonna be lawyers? His lawyer, our lawyers, or like what? That's what I'm trying to find an answer for this.
Yeah, so we'll get with the code guy again. I talked with him today on it. He actually called me on
I think we
So,
probably should have a meeting. And if there's
yeah.
witnesses
it.
that are helpful to help us know what the facts are, then we need to sit down and find out what the facts are
Mhm. Right.
and make a determination of what position we want to take.
At the last meeting, as the person sat here and said that, yep, I have proof it was advertised. So I don't know where you want to go with that. You should have it in the meetings, in the minutes, I mean, from, but,
What was said at the meeting, ma'am, really doesn't matter.
okay.
It's what existed when. And also what the case law says. And I haven't researched this because I haven't been asked to research it.
Mhm.
Okay?
Right.
Even with the case law, maybe a shade of gray. That's why they make courtrooms. Okay, so we need to develop the facts and then develop a position. And witnesses such as yourself, ma'am, I'm all for it. If that's what we're gonna do, we need to know the facts. You're talking about developing a list, that's great.
Oh, the list is already,
You sound like you'd be a good witness.
I have a witness because it wasn't done as of the moratorium
Well, then-
started, so.
That's not what he said.
Okay.
What is the effective date of the moratorium? The
Wow.
date
one-
that gets thrown around is the date of the meeting, but when did New York State?
122.
But when did New York State actually put it into law? That's not when, it wasn't the date of the meeting, right, Don?
No, it's
No, it's
like
when
2 or
we
3 days
submitted it.
later,
But that makes a difference.
maybe.
Yes, it does. I'm sorry. It does make a difference. What is the official date?
Yeah, it depends
Jen, do
on
you know
when
that?
they started, if we can find out when they started advertising, if they have
You
proof
don't- you didn't get anything.
when they started advertising. The construction wasn't done and it still is.
Well, then, okay, now that's because you're advertising, okay, is that sufficient?
Well, that's the
So I
clarification.
can't
that
tell you.
need- Can, if you can study that, you know.
That's
go
right,
back
but I don't
and-
know what okay.
On the law number 1, the clarification, if it, it's kind of vague, I think, in my part looking at it, but, we have to have that clarified so we can tell our code guy what he can do.
But we also need to know, and apparently someone does have some facts that would be relevant to it.
Mhm. Yeah, wherever they're advertising Airbnb or that other 2 or 3 or a couple other places they can advertise, whether they have records or not available to us as to their advertisement. That would be pertinent.
You know, how apparently they're doing renovations, how far along in the
The
renovations
renovation's
are
still
they?
going on. Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't sit here and answer it tonight.
Mhm.
It needs to be investigated.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
So we'll investigate that more.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, any other questions or comments? Dan?
Thank you. I had a few things that I checked with Jim ahead of time with, and they won't take long because they're all typed up and for your consideration. The first one is I noticed that we needed new carpeting maybe or something, or refurbishing the wood underneath. And I noticed that Lowe's has a one product for free per year. And I don't know if you wanted to do that for carpeting or for a bigger project. But anyway, I thought it might be of interest for your consideration for the carpeting or for something else. That's for Jim, please. And then here are copies for each of you. Okay, so that's that. Any comments or, oh, you need to read it. Sorry. And we know somebody who works here. But it sounded like a great opportunity for us. And then the second grant that I found out about is through the Pomeroy Foundation that you know for historic roadside markers and other things. They also give out larger grants for independent projects. For Taconic State Park, they recently gave $50,000 to have a little train like we used to have here. Not that I'm suggesting we have it again, but if there's something in Dwyer Park that you can think of that you need, it's worth their foundations. So their applications are very easy. They're basically one page stating the prime details and costs and things like that. When you get into state and federal government applications, as you know, they're very detailed with overhead and all kinds of that kind of thing. But foundations are very easy. So that's for your consideration too. Do I go on?
Yes.
Okay, all right, going on. Okay, I've noticed in the past on various forms that the town tax payment checks, the receipts for when you pay your taxes, okay, are to be made out to town clerk in the past, Jane Davenport. And I'd hope that this action would be discontinued upon the appointment of the new town clerk. I now see that this practice does indeed continue. Witness the attached town of Preble receipt for town of Preble tax. So this is for you, Jim, and this is for Jen. I have proceeded with this by writing to various people, but I think it's important that it puts the town clerk at liability. If ever anything is embezzled, it's not good to be making out checks to somebody personally, I feel. So I am now requesting that all paperwork and forms that in use be checked and changed if need be to see that all checks in the future be paid to the town of Preble tax collector, not to the town clerk. And here are some copies for everybody. Here you are. Okay, should I just go
Well, I want to discuss that one a little bit.
on? Okay, go ahead.
I'm just going to ask Don a question.
You have the copy of the receipt I received when I paid my taxes. At the upper left-hand corner, it says they're made to be made personally to the town clerk.
I just want to make a comment. And for over 26 years, I've been writing my tax checks. Years ago, it was to Jane Davenport.
Right,
clerk,
right. And I
And
thought when we get
always
somebody
kinda wondered
new,
that, but I
Yeah.
never really challenged it. So, Don, do you know anything about titling checks like this for property taxes?
can I say one thing? Most of the forms have been changed. This has been overlooked. And there may be other forms that need to be checked, but mostly it has been changed.
I mean, it's, I don't know what you're about to say, Jennifer. I don't want to.
Well, on the tax bill that's sent out from the county, in the corner, it says, please make checks payable to the town of Preble tax collector. It does not say my name.
Okay.
If I print a receipt from the tax collection system that we use, it says something different and has my name. But people should be using this as to who to make their checks out to on their tax bill.
Well,
Right,
that
so
just-
you'll accept checks
Yeah.
payable in that fashion, right, Jennifer?
Which
Yeah,
fashion?
nobody
Without-
makes it out to the town clerk.
Okay, so it's the receipt that has your name on it?
As far as I know, it may have other forms and things that has her name on it. I don't get everything. Excuse me.
Well, two thoughts. Number one, if a check is made payable to Jennifer George as town clerk, it's not made to her individually. Yes, it has her individual name, but it's in her capacity as town clerk. So that, I think, is not to her individually. It just happens to have her name on it, but it recites that it's in her position. But secondly, it seems the real answer is that the bills don't have her individual name on it. It refers to make the checks payable to the tax collector. Right? And you'll accept those checks in that fashion, and you have been.
Yep.
So I think that's the answer.
And Jen, that software gets updated, what?
I'll print one out and I can show you what I
Okay.
mean here.
Okay. So I think maybe that problem is already solved.
I disagree.
Okay.
Okay. If, then why has it been changed on some forms and not other forms? And people who come in that don't have their bill with them, like me, may not be looking at that bill at the time when they're getting ready to make their check. Of course, they can ask Jen who to make it out to, like I did. But I just think to have everything orderly, that all forms that emanate from the town of Preble should have it the standard way. And that won't be difficult to change. As you say, things are updated all the time. So that's just my suggestion. You take it or not, I don't care. But I've made it several times in writing, and now I'm making it in by statement.
Okay.
So when it prints, the receipt prints from
Mhm.
the tax payment system, it says this in the corner. But this is the receipt.
This is the receipt, this is not the bill.
That's not the bill from the county.
Okay, and what software program is this?
It's ATC tax program that
Okay.
we use. All
So
of Portland County uses.
all of
this
Portland
program.
County uses this. And what this is saying is that Jennifer George
I
is
understand.
the tax clerk.
I
and she's
understand.
handling it.
I understand.
Okay, so this is a software, this is a standard software program. that
But we don't know if
everybody
they're
uses.
doing it in other towns for sure, right? They may not be doing it that way for other towns.
Well, this is what Portland County
That's
uses.
Portland County.
This is
Yeah, I
what
know,
Portland
but we
County
don't know if Cortland County does it that way until we investigate.
Well, I would assume
Anybody that's using it,
everybody in
South-
Portland
South
County
Portland.
is using this software program.
Well, if it's fine with you all,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
you know,
But it's a good
you,
point.
you make the
Yeah,
decisions.
It's a good point, because my tax bill used to say Jane Davenport.
Yeah,
Jane's
well,
tax
everything's a
designation,
Jane,
But your bill now does not say that.
right? And I thought since this was changed on the bill that was it. But I see it
No.
isn't. So that's my point.
Well, the bill doesn't say the name, but the receipt now says that this person.
Yeah, I
has
noticed
handled
that.
Jennifer George. Yeah. So I don't think there's really an issue here.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, but it's a good point to bring up.
Thank you. You told me to get in touch with you in the spring about, are we going to have a recreation program this summer? I wish you would consider that. And advertising for a program director, you said it was $900 and that there was some consideration of it going up to $1,000.
Well, our last coordinator, which was probably 4 years ago, she ran it for probably 4 or 5 years, and then she quit. And I was just saying that we don't have a coordinator right now, a director. And if there's anybody in the town that would like to run that program, they're more than welcome.
Can we announce that?
We can announce that this is going over YouTube right now as an announcement. Yeah.
Is it going to be in your newsletter too, or
We
has
could-
it been?
We could put it in there.
That'd be
yeah,
great
yeah.
because the kids really deserve this, and they get a free lunch through Catholic Charities at no cost to the town of Preble.
Mhm.
It would be really great.
We can include that in the newsletter. We
Thanks
can
so
advertise
much.
for it.
Okay, what does the board intend to do now that the Preble Garden Club is no longer in existence for the last 4 years about the landscaping in front of the town hall?
So Red takes care of it.
Bill Wright does?
Sue,
Sue Wright.
No,
Okay.
she's donated some of her time, but she's not doing it. And I understand from her directly, she's not being paid for it. She told me it's actually under somebody else's contract to be doing it.
I don't know of anybody who we contract to take care
No,
of
it's
it.
part of somebody's contract. If I don't know which one,
Mhm.
but it has never been acted upon because the ladies of the Preble Garden Club have taken care of it.
Mhm. The town board has not gotten involved with with landscaping in front of the
Any
building.
contract that I know of.
No, we have not gotten involved with that.
So you're just going to leave it weedy.
It has always been the garden club that has taken care of it. And if the garden club isn't taking care of it, then maybe there's some volunteers that would like to do it. I don't know. We have not-
Newsletter,
we have.
maybe put it in the
We can
newsletter.
put it in the newsletter for volunteers.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Okay, let's see. The last thing, of the quick things is I noticed the fire department, and I have contacted them, but I haven't heard word back. Used to do fundraising in September. They'd go up and down the roads with a calendar, and the calendar was paid for by donations from various businesses whose names were put on the outside of the calendar. And I thought that was a great thing because we always were able to easily sign a check and hand it to them, and we knew when to do it. I just like to say if that's resurrected, because I couldn't get in touch with the fire chief or whoever, I left word. I'd be happy to do Stager Road if you decide to do that again. And I don't know if we need money or not, but it seems like everybody needs money all the time.
Well, we don't get involved with the fire department affairs at the town board level. So, but I can pass that on to somebody at the fire department.
It's
Okay.
up to the commissioner. It's all commissioners.
Great. Well, I'm here. Okay, this is to the town of Preble supervisor, Jim Doring, the town board, and town attorney. And I'll read it and take your comments. Okay. Twice before as agenda items, I brought to the attention of the town of Preble board the serious concern I and my neighbors have for the danger of the curve at the south end of Stager Road in the past and in the future. You probably, some of you that go on Stager Road probably saw some of this, and I have more if you want to see the rest of the car that hit this. And it was a Ram. And also hit the the telephone pole and brought down things from the pole that have to do with electricity. It says Western Electric on the box, and also wires and things. My mailbox has been knocked down 4 times by hit and run drivers overshooting this curve. This last time on March 11th, 2024, the county sheriff and the town of Preble highway superintendent were on the scene. This driver also grazed the right side of the adjacent telephone pole, damaging lightning rods, causing Western Electric housing to fall down, and leaving remnants of his full-size truck on my neighbor's lawn and also on my lawn. I just found some more pieces of it on my side of the road. If a car hits a telephone pole head on, you've probably read in newspaper articles, in the future, I fear a fatality or serious injury may result. You hit an object that's not going to move head on. It's really dangerous. And it gets closer and closer. Recently, the nearby curve sign was hit by a vehicle and severed at its base. These other times that I'm aware of that I'm going to tell you about, they were all in good driving conditions. This one did have ice on the road. Okay. Twice, aberrant drivers stopped short of my neighbor Jerry Fairchild's kitchen. 2 other times, drivers went off the road further south, would have ended up in my neighbors Keith and Missy Adams' home had it not been for trees no longer there, as they were knocked down by other anomalous drivers, so that now there is nothing to impede them. Some years ago, 5 high school students prom night overshot Stager Road onto Route 281 and 1 was killed. Road races starting at the north end of Stager Road and at a parallel point on Route 281, concluding at the stop sign at the south end of Stager Road, have taken place. I fear for my and my neighbor's safety. We have to cross the road to get our mail, and when people are coming around that curve at 55 miles an hour or more, they can't stop. And we don't see them because of the curve. And I pay to have my neighbor's lawn mowed so that there is no high grass there. And also up by her trees to have any shrubs cut down there with her permission, of course. Children also live nearby. Drivers come at high speeds around this blind curve, 55 miles an hour or faster. It just isn't safe. It is my hope that you will notify the New York State Department of Transportation of the town of Preble's concern for the safety of its citizens here at the dangerous curve at the south end of Steger Road, and urge the New York State Department of Transportation to have a white 30-mile-an-hour sign put up. That means when it's white, you have to go that speed. If it's yellow or orange, that's a suggested speed. That's what we have right now. And that suggestion obviously is not followed, with the hope of preventing future serious injuries or death. And that's then also possibly obligating the town of Preble and its board from future liabilities or lawsuits. Thank you.
Okay, we can discuss this. Steger Road is not a town road, it's a county road.
I know, that's why I'm asking for your
And
to say to the state that this is something maybe we should do.
mhm,
It's a county road. Other times when I brought this to your attention, the first time we had the county highway superintendent here,
mhm,
and he and you said this should change, and you jointly notified DOT.
mhm,
And so it was a suggestion. So it was out of your hands.
mhm,
You are no longer liable.
mhm.
Now the state is liable if something happens.
And I remember a number of years ago, the state did look into that, and I think they did some testing in that area, and they declined the request, right? Jeff, do you remember that?
Yeah, everything goes through DOT, their engineering firm, their engineer department comes up and does
Mhm.
engineering,
Mm-hmm,
traffic counts, speeds,
mm-hmm.
type of thing.
Right. So DOT did do a study on that.
Things often change.
Mhm,
It may be time for them to readdress this.
mhm.
I know we tried to get it lowered on 281 again and extend it
A little
where it
further.
is now, and they looked into it and they said, no, we're not gonna do it.
Okay. Well,
That
things
wasn't that
change.
long ago, maybe 6-7 years ago.
Well, I'll tell you one that I sent in myself down by Anderson's farm market. The change to 50 miles an hour from 45 miles an hour. Here's Anderson's, here's Little York. They made the change to 55 right here before Anderson's going north. And here you have all these cars coming out, you know? So I wrote myself to the state and they changed it. They made it after, you know where it is, after Anderson's, up by the next road. So things can change. People change positions in these offices. And I'm not crazy about putting up a new mailbox and the pole and everything, but I fear for fatalities and serious injuries and paralyzations. That's why I'm here.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming, Pam.
My pleasure.
We do our best to answer your questions.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes,
Michelle Baker. I
Michelle?
just have one, I'd like to just suggest
Mhm.
that the town board utilize the same process that you use to appoint the planning board member or the ethics committee member.
Mhm.
Put a notice on the website, get interested people who are interested in the position, submit a letter of interest, and then you pick from them as opposed to just picking names of random people that you think might be interested.
Mhm.
I would think you thought that process worked well. It brought out people who were interested. You
Yeah.
got to know some different people in the town. And I would just like to suggest maybe using that same process for the open ethics committee position.
That's a good suggestion. We can do that. Mhm.
And I don't know if you want to do it for two, because that guy was appointed in 2011. I mean, in 5 years later, you didn't reappoint him. I don't know if you want to open it. He can apply, but
Mhm.
I would suggest that you should open it for the two positions, and he could be one of the applicants
Yeah,
if
that's,
he's interested.
Makes sense.
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
And that worked out well.
Well, and this is why we have these open discussions, because oftentimes residents have very good ideas to bring to us. We're only 4 people tonight, and we have a lot of residents that are thinking about a lot of things, so that's good. yeah, we can advertise for two positions for the ethics committee. We can put it in our newsletter. We can put it on the website. We can put it in whatever medium that we have for advertising.
I think it worked well on the website too. That
Mm-hmm.
worked well
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah.
And maybe a date when you like them by so that you can get those positions
Mhm.
filled.
Okay. Well, the newsletter is going to come out in May, so this is a process of getting names and interviewing people and so on. So if the newsletter comes out right before Memorial Day weekend, then it's going to have to go out that far looking for names of people.
Yeah, as long
Yeah.
as we got it posted that we're looking for people, you know, it shouldn't be it shouldn't be an issue.
Right. Okay, good suggestion. Anybody else with anything?
Addendum,
Mhm.
if you're gonna announce something on the website, perhaps you could announce a recreation person also.
I can do that too. Yep.
Jim, I think in light of the questions raised regarding this moratorium, I think would behoove us to go into executive session. I don't want to prevent anyone from getting to the UConn game, but maybe for 10
Oh, we got
minutes.
time. It's
10 or
on for
15,
another
10 or
hour,
15.
20 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
chief.
UConn? Who?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we might do that.
We can do that, and that's why that option is on the agenda for executive session. And it looks like an issue came up tonight about potential litigation that we can discuss in executive session. So one last call. Anybody with any other questions or comments to
You
the
don't
board?
feel like you can recommend to the county to change their form and not include a town person as taking the money?
You know, we had that town clerk for years, ever since I paid taxes here, and that's been over 60 years. And never had a problem yet. And I don't think there's a problem because it's a town clerk collector.
Okay. All right. So let's wrap this up. And we paid the bills, and now we will go into executive session based on potential litigation.
7:58.
Need a motion.
Need a motion?
Make a motion, to go to executive session.
No,
Second.
second it.
Third. Fourth.
Third it, fourth.
Everybody, thank you for coming.
Just write your name and number down there. Right?
I will.
Exhibit A.
I got more of the truck here if anybody wants to see it.
I saw it on-
Do you want my cell phone too?